it's almost twofold. It gives you respect for the word, but it also enables me to listen better to what people were saying and respecting the word. Communication is a lost art. Writing is a lost art. So when I'm listening to people now and finding people don't explain what they mean, they sort of jump in the middle, and that's why there's so miscommunication, is people aren't talking like we write. And that's what people have said to me, well, you write like you talk. And I go, well, good, then you understand me, right? Because, someone will say something simple like, was at the hospital the other day with a friend. They said, well, have you stayed overnight at a hospital in the last 6 months? And she said no. And I said, well, yes, you did. And I said, you had your cataract surgery, you stayed overnight. And the nurse said, that's not what I meant. I meant, have you stayed for 24 hours? I said, well, then maybe you better ask that. Because overnight doesn't mean 24 hours, but if you, learn how to communicate. Well, everybody else understood me. And I thought, what's the difference? Why do I have such a hard time with people communicating to me? Because they don't say what they mean. They don't do the written word. Mm-hmm. And that's something that opened my eyes to it, and it made me realize it's not just me that doesn't understand. People don't communicate properly. And this is a great way to teach people how to communicate. So that's another added bonus to this.
Thank you. And we did find that in the high schools. So the high schools that I worked with students in, it wasn't intentional. I didn't intend to work with high school students. I was volunteering at the Adolescent Parent Center, taking care of babies while their moms were in high school.
I remember.
I was there to hold babies, which is one of my favorite things in the world. And one day, some of the girls in the class heard the staff member ask me how a book reading had gone. I had been reading a children's book that I wrote, and I was describing how excited I was to have 5 kids on my lap as I was reading it in a classroom. The girl came forward and said, do you write? And I said, oh, mostly I teach other people to write. She said, would you help us write our stories? And I said, well, I'm really here to hold babies. And that would take the approval of the principal, and it would really be an entirely different endeavor. And 5 minutes later, she brought the principal down. And the principal said, I think it's a great idea. Could you start next week? And I started with a group of about 6 high school girls at the Adolescent Parent Center in high school, and we went up to 30 girls in the group, and 20 of them contributed to a book of their stories. It won't happen to me. About becoming pregnant as teenagers.
Wow.
And because they were all under 18, they couldn't use their names, and they each chose a symbol
Oh my
to
What a
goodness.
great
to
teaching tool
represent
that
them.
book would be.
And so these are all written in their language. So that happened in about a 6-month period. Suddenly I went from holding babies to teaching high school kids how to write about their lives.
Oh
And
Isn't that
my.
amazing?
then I had the
So
opportunity.
was that your beginning?
That was my beginning with high school students. I had been working with adults for many years by then. And then, as Dave said, Lorna, his wife, who was a guidance counselor, had heard about this and got a grant. And suddenly we were at R.B. Russell with both boys and girls. And then at Rising Sun High School, which is an alternate high school that Ross House operates for kids that don't fit well into the ordinary flow of a high school. And that was all boys. So I went from all girls to boys and girls to having the all boys class, and it was quite an experience.
You had a young man at a reading that I was at